Hello Aquarius, welcome to my channel. It is an absolute blessing and such a pleasure to be here with you. So thank you for being here with me for your November 2023 Tarotscope. In the description box below, there are links to all sorts of goodies, including my social media, information on personal readings, and information on donations if you would like to explore any of those options. Of course, no pressure. There is also a timestamp in the description box if you would like to jump to the start of your reading. Please do keep in mind that this is a collective reading, not a personal reading, so only take what resonates with you and leave the rest. Please do not make it your story and create more healing for yourself than what is necessary. November is a universal 9-month, which does prepare us for all kinds of endings. It is also symbolic of sacrifice and service. The month overall has a vibrational frequency that's a bit more positive. Even though there are things ending, which could bring us some sadness, we are being asked to remember that when one door closes, another opens. So for the month of November, we're going to be looking at your overall energy, what you are sacrificing, how you can be of service, and getting some advice that will best support and serve you moving forward. If you would like deeper insights, check out your Sun, Moon, and Rising Tarotscopes. All right, Aquarius, let's dive in and see what's coming through for you. Please, Father, Mother, Life, Universe, Spirits, Guides, Angels, our cosmic team, our ancestors, our higher selves, tell us about the overall energy of November 2023 for Aquarius, please. Thank you. Tell us, please, about, okay, thank you, what Aquarius is sacrificing. Tell us, please, how can Aquarius be of service? How can Aquarius, okay, thank you. Tell us what advice will best support and serve Aquarius moving forward, please. Okay, thank you. We're working with a lot of decks here, so I do appreciate your patience if you're someone who likes to watch the shuffling. Tell us more, please, about the overall energy of the month for Aquarius. Tell us more, please, about the overall energy of November 2023 for Aquarius. All right, thank you. Tell us more, please, about what Aquarius is sacrificing. Tell us, all right, thank you. Tell us more, please, about how Aquarius can be of service. Thank you. Tell us more, please. What advice will best support and serve Aquarius moving forward? Thank you. Okay. What else do we need to know, please, about the overall energy of November 2023 for Aquarius? What else do we need to know, please? What else do we need to know about the overall energy of November? Okay. Yep. Okay, thank you. Yep. Thank you. What else do we need to know, please, about how Aquarius can be of service? Thank you. What else do we need to know, please? Thank you. All right. I am getting some fear coming up, Aquarius. Just, I don't know what that's about. Maybe there's a bit of fear about what's going to come through here. Or maybe a bit of fear about whatever it is you are currently experiencing, but I just thought I would share that. All right, anything else we need to know or may have missed, please, about the overall energy of November 2023 for Aquarius? Nice, clear message. Anything else we need to know or may have missed, please, about the overall energy? Thank you. Anything else we need to know or may have missed, please, about what Aquarius is sacrificing? Nice, clear message, please. Yep. Okay. Anything else we need to know Yeah, okay. Thank you. And anything else we need to know or may have missed, please, about the advice that will best support and serve Aquarius moving forward. All right, thank you. Okay, Aquarius. The overall energy of the month for you, you do have Earthed, learning how to be human in the world, but not of it. I do feel like for some of you, what's coming to your attention this month, or what the energy is bringing forward, is this, how would I say this? This heavy focus on the physical material world. It does feel as though there's an imbalance between the physical and spiritual, within you. Again, you may be somebody who is very focused on, what seems logical, what seems practical, what seems like it's going to, let's say, advance you or move you forward. It's really quite interesting because you are or do have this energy about you where it's, kind of reformative and very kind of independent. But I do feel like for some of you, which certainly seems to be a potential trait of Aquarius in those, what is the word, lower impulses, where you can be kind of entrenched in the material world or in the physical world, really trying to bring meaning to things, and nothing can happen outside of the material world. There's nothing outside the material world type of thing. And that's not to say that you are, really far on that extreme where you don't believe in any spirituality type things or soul or God or any of those things. That certainly could apply, but it really does feel like there's this deep enmeshment, if you will, or I don't even know if that's a word. It just kind of fell out. There's this like deep weight, no, like a tether, that's how I'm seeing it, to the physical world, the material world, to kind of gaining status or appearing to be some type of way. But I feel like you go about this, for some of you, in your own kind of way. It almost feels, it's really, really a strange feeling, Aquarius, because to some degree or another, it kind of feels like you could be somebody who, is a little bit, let's say, outspoken and in some cases, not afraid to share your opinions and to like do things differently. But I also feel that there's this side of you which is, like I said, very kind of caught up in the physical world and in advancing in status and, trying to gain things, or let me back up a little bit, to kind of bring about some kind of security or stability, but through physical means. And so it's really quite interesting, but I feel as though there's a need to bring balance to both worlds. I feel that with the overall energy, you're being called to really put more focus on your spiritual world or your soul self, and to come to an understanding or to bring to your awareness that you are both a physical being and a spiritual being. And, neglecting either side of those things or creating an imbalance between those two things can certainly bring about disharmony, chaos, all sorts of, issues that maybe we don't really necessarily need to be dealing with, if you will. And so I feel like, again, this is about bringing that balance in, not being, way high up in the spiritual worlds or very disconnected from your earthly self, but also not being incredibly connected to the earthly realm and having nothing to do with the spiritual, right? I feel as though there's a need to bring that balance in here. It's very, very interesting. I don't know why I feel like I need to say this, but based on the teachings of Rudolf Steiner and what I've learned there and learned through Gigi Young's work. She has an incredible channel on YouTube about Rudolf Steiner's work and many, many, many other things. Fascinating and incredibly informative. But based on Rudolf Steiner's work, we have both the Luciferic impulse and the Harmonic impulse within us. And according to Steiner, those impulses are essentially both evil, if you will, but they're on different sides of the spectrum of that evil. Ahriman is what Rudolf Steiner considered to be Satan. He is very focused on materialism and everything has to have a definition. Everything is, the material world, very entrenched in technology, and focusing again on the material side of things, and everything needing to have a definition or need to be proven, very kind of literal. Now, Lucifer is the opposite of that. Lucifer wants no structure whatsoever. Okay? And we do have both of these impulses within us. It is our job to kind of be in the middle of those. Okay? Because they are both beneficial for us. They both are necessary for our own evolution. But it is our job to be intentional and choose and really kind of master, if you will, our own individuality, not falling to one side or the other, and aligning more with the Christ impulse within us. Okay, this is not coming from a dogmatic religion perspective. I just want to make that very clear. But it is, this is how we evolve. And I feel like this is where you're being guided to be, or to find your way to. Okay, again, learning how to be human in the world, but not of it. So somewhere in the middle. Okay. You may want to delve into these topics or concepts much deeper, again, by, exploring perhaps Rudolf Steiner's work, spiritual science, esoteric Christianity. Again, Gigi Young is an incredible resource for this. Okay, so let's see what else you have coming through here. 8 of Wands. Yeah, I just feel it's very interesting, because I feel like there's this very kind of fast-paced way about you. It's almost as if you don't slow down. It's really quite interesting. Okay, so some of you may feel not in your body, which is really quite interesting, because there's that very materialistic vibe that I was picking up on. But how do I say this? It's almost like your mind is like heavily focused on the material world, but you're not in your body. You may be moving from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, very quickly. Lots of like noise. And by noise, I mean, lots of people, lots of busyness, and it could be actual physical noise as well. TV, movies, radio, whatever it is. I feel like you could be somebody who may struggle to sit in silence. You may struggle to slow down, but it does feel like the energy is very fast paced. And again, that earth energy is, so there's a couple of things that are coming through. One is like energy is very fast, very, very fast. But where we are in this physical density, the physical moves much slower. And it's interesting how you have this earth with this, being here is kind of like dropping down to the surface, if you will. So it feels like, in some sense, I'm getting fear here as well. In some sense, there's this call for you to, again, bring balance, to slow down, to allow yourself to hear yourself, to feel in your, or to be in your body, to feel into your body, to feel into your intuition, to connect more deeply with that spiritual side of yourself. It does feel that for some of you, if you're not really resonating with this, being super, I don't know, how do you say it? Super like materialistic and this needing to slow down. It feels like for some of you, there's this quickening that's taking place. It's like a spirit, like an awakening, okay? And it feels like it's speeding up. You may be feeling like things are happening very fast. And for whatever reason, I just heard the word tower. So you may be experiencing a tower moment, or, upheaval, foundational shifts, these sorts of things that maybe seem to be falling apart. Because there's this quickening I feel like it's trying to bring about these changes for you to get you into balance. I hope that makes sense. But, again, I feel like this is meant to create change within you. This quickening, this being put in a position to, really awaken to your truth. I feel like it's things are moving very quickly, energetically speaking. You have, seriously? um, Way to go, intuition. So you also have the Tower, right? This is exactly what I was talking about. It feels like these things are happening very quickly to bring about these sudden or drastic changes in your reality, to really put things into focus for you, or to bring your awareness to certain things, right? The Tower is, again, that kind of destructive energy, but you can look at it as something to be kind of afraid of, okay? Because it does create upheaval or feel that way, or it can feel kind of disastrous. Or you can look at it as an opportunity to create foundational shifts, ones that you can build upon to create that stability, that security within yourself. It's not necessarily about, you know, the outer world and creating stability there, because your outer world mirrors your inner world. So, you know, as within, so without, as above, so below. So if you are creating that stability, that foundational stability and security within you, the outer world will eventually mirror that back to you, right? So, you know, this can also be an energy of challenging some outdated beliefs. And certainly, if you're somebody who's very deeply connected or feel very strongly about, you know, creating, like I said, physical, material, financial security and doing things that are logical, then this may be one of those beliefs that you're being asked to kind of reanalyze. This can also be an energy of, you know, creating a breakthrough for you, destroying illusions. And I feel like this is, I mean, I feel like I'm like right on the money with whatever the energy I was picking up on for whoever this resonates for. Okay. You know, but again, the Tower is presented to us to create a transformation, to put us in a position where it's almost as if, it's not to say that we don't have free will and we can ignore it or avoid it if we choose to, but you know, it creates such a shifting, such a shaking, that it's almost as though you can't ignore it now. You have to do something, right? You have, yeah. You can't make this stuff up, Aquarius. You have Dance with Life. Do something to change your energy. Yes. And, you know, here's the thing. I'm getting this energy of, you know, choosing to do so. The Eight of Wands is an energy as well of quick decisions, taking rapid action. So I do feel, you know, again, things seem to be moving very fast. And I feel like you're being positioned in such a way with the energy coming through that you can choose to do something to change your energy, to change the situation, to change whatever it is you may be experiencing that doesn't seem to be serving you. I think it's fascinating as well that we were just talking about destroying illusions. And there at the back of the card, as you can see, is the moon, which is a representation of illusions. It's also one of intuition. You know, so I do feel that, how would I say, you may have had a conversation with yourself where you've said something like, I've got to do something different, or something has got to change, or something has got to give. And Aquarius, sweets, I want to say that something is you. Again, take that as it resonates, and I'm just the messenger, okay? But that's the energy that I'm picking up on. It's like, it's almost as if you've been waiting for something outside of yourself, pardon me, to shift. But what is needed is a shift within yourself. You also have here, yeah, transformation. Things are changing at a cellular level, deep healing. There's so much energy of change here. So much energy of change. And again, as I said here, you're being put in a position to transform, to metamorphosize. You know, but here's the thing again, it's this deep healing. And that deep healing, pardon me, requires your effort. It requires your, let's say, cooperation. It requires you, you know, doing your part. And certainly that's going to look different for everyone. But it's interesting that you have the moon here in the back of this do something different to change your energy card. And in this transformation card, there's the sun, right? So I think it's really quite fascinating because, you know, the moon is out in, let's say, darkness, okay, night. And then you have the sun, which is, you know, illumination. The sun is a representation of, you know, illumination, light, truth, these healing, life force. Okay, so it's quite interesting because I feel like there's a need to shine a light on the truths, to really see through the illusions. And perhaps in order to do that, some deep healing is required, but it will require you to face certain truths. Okay, because sun, illumination, it will require you to face certain truths, to be very honest with yourself, very authentic, very transparent, and move according to that. Right? Very, very interesting energy here. And if you look, she has this staff in her hand, if you can see that, that is in the shape of like a crescent moon. And here's the thing, I feel like that's a representation because she's holding it very powerfully, very confidently. And in this case, I feel like this is a representation of conquering those illusions, right? Taking back your control from them. Because those outdated belief systems, those illusions, delusions, lies, those sorts of things, the wounding, the trauma, all those things can control us from the background. They can have power over us. And I feel like this is, kind of establishing that power over them. And by which you transform, you heal. Yeah, you have here, good golly, you have unbound, releasing soul patterns, contracts, and past lives. Absolutely. Again, with the moon energy. And if you can see here, these two beings toward the bottom of the card are tethered to the earth, where the other figure in the center has freed or liberated herself from it. So, you have this energy of do something to change your energy. Things are changing, deep healing. And here you have this energy of, releasing yourself, liberating yourself, which also, for me, and it coincides with this tower energy. Okay. Because oftentimes, not only that, but the deep healing, of course, because oftentimes when we are really in a space where we can truly evolve, where we can make, let's say, leaps and bounds in our own development, in our own healing, that is when we face some of the things that are like big, right? We come nose to nose with our fears. We come nose to nose with our wounding, our trauma. We come nose to nose with our darkness, our shadow. And as I mentioned earlier, we have that within us. We certainly do. Every single one, no matter how saintly or evil one may appear, we have it all. Okay? Also, that goes for the Christ impulse as well, or that goodness, right? We have it all. And, so again, creating these massive changes and massive healing, and again, taking leaps and bounds in our own development and healing requires us often to come nose to nose, right? And that's where we make the biggest transformations. So, I do feel that these things may be coming to the surface for you this month. And I find it really quite fascinating that there was that earth energy that we were talking about previously, where I felt this deep connection to the material world or the physical world. And these individuals here are both bound or tethered to it. Now, she has risen above, but she's not completely, out in space, if you will. Or, she's not that far from the physical plane or the earth here that you can see. So again, I feel like it's about finding balance for you. And I do feel like some of what's going on is putting you in a position to challenge these outdated belief systems, these patterns, these contracts, to free yourself or liberate yourself from fear, certainly, and from these cyclic things that you have been experiencing. It's interesting because even if you don't believe in reincarnation, I'm someone who does, but even if you don't, you can look at past lives as the things you've experienced in this lifetime, because every one of us has been reborn several times over in just this lifetime. And there are things that you may have been repeating in this lifetime that you probably have an awareness of this. Okay. You know, this could be certain habits or patterns or, you know, addictions, these sorts of things that just kind of keep coming up over and over and over and over. And again, I feel like everything that is being orchestrated for you, bringing this energy through, is to help you to free yourself from that. Okay, you also have, wow, the song Lost by NF featuring Hobson. But I manifested this. Failings, how you grow and learn your lessons, kids. Take the worst and try to make the best of it. Because when you fail, just know that it's a test. If you can learn to pick yourself back up again and train your brain not to be such a pessimist, it's okay to make mistakes. Just don't forget that. So, you know, what I find really fascinating about this song showing up for you with these lyrics is that you have this line here that says, just know that it's a test. And I really do feel that this is where you are. Again, if you resonate with this, of course, I do feel like there's this acknowledgement of the fact that you have experienced something repeatedly. Okay. And you may have felt like you're a failure, you know, if you've repeated certain patterns or addictions or cycles or whatever it is over and over and over again. But understand, like, it's a test. It's an opportunity for you to rise above, to see your own potential, to see your own strength, to acknowledge your own courage, to acknowledge the skills and wisdom that you have within you, which I'm a very firm believer, and I've said this many, many times throughout the Tarotscopes for this month, so you may have heard it if you've listened to others. I'm a very firm believer that you would not you would not come face to face with something, an obstacle, challenge, whatever it is. You would not come face to face with something if you did not have every tool you needed to overcome it. It is a matter of choice. So, you know, again, take that how it resonates and know that whatever you've experienced thus far, it's okay to make mistakes. Okay. This is how you grow. This is how you learn. This is how you evolve. This is how we all evolve. None of us could evolve, grow, any of those things, heal, if we did not have challenge. Certainly we can grow through the joy, the happiness, the love, those sorts of things. But, you know, it wouldn't be the same if we didn't have both sides of the spectrum. You wouldn't appreciate the joy, the happiness, the love if you hadn't experienced pain and hatred and heartache. Okay? So both are vital for our evolution. You have here as well, manifest. So that's interesting because you have essentially the same word twice. Okay, manifested, manifest with the song by Russ. And I feel as though for you, to be quite honest, I feel like some of you have actually manifested this situation. And again, maybe it started with something as simple as, you know, when is it going to end? Something's got to give. Why do I keep going through this over and over? Right? You may have simply just asked yourself or asked, you know, God, universe, whatever. And you may have actually brought this in because deep inside of you, there's that desire for change. There's that desire for transformation. There's that desire for healing. There's that desire to close the cycle, to move on, to free yourself. And so I feel like the universe has responded accordingly. God has responded accordingly and said, hey, here's what you asked for. And it may not have shown up the way that you would have expected or liked it to, but that doesn't mean that it's wrong. It doesn't mean that it's not for you. It doesn't mean that it's not going to help you, right? It doesn't mean that it's not going to, how do I say? It doesn't mean it's not positioning you in such a way that you are able to do exactly that. It's quite interesting because, so there's a book that I've read called Christ Returns. And in it, Christ says, man cannot, or woman, escape what he says, does, thinks, feels. Okay? So I just felt like I felt called to mention that. So keep that in mind as you're going through whatever it is that you're experiencing this month, whatever the energy is bringing through for you. Keep that in mind. Okay? But it says here, moving to the rhythm of my intuition Anything I want, I speak into existence. That's how I'm living. That's how I'm winning. And I do feel like a big part of how we move in our reality, or let me rephrase that. The way that we can align most with our truth, our higher self, our highest good, our soul, is to move with our intuition. Okay? Because there's a part of us that, and it does certainly require effort on our part, because we have to surrender, we have to trust, right, in the unknown, which pulls us a bit away from, more back to the center, away from that more harmonic impulse where everything has to be explained, everything has to be defined, right? So this, it's also a part of our development and our evolution. And I feel like this is where you're being, again, I feel like you're being called more back to the center, back, or rather, being called to integrate more of that spiritual aspect, things not needing to be defined. I really hope that makes sense. And again, if you're sitting here like, what is she friggin' talking about? I would encourage you, if you feel like you should, to look more deeply into the work of Rudolf Steiner in spiritual science. All right, so what are you sacrificing, Aquarius? You do have here jump in, Andromedan energy, adventure, say yes to change. So you are sacrificing your comfort. You are sacrificing what you've known. And here's the thing. I want to say that even when things, even when we know that pattern cycles, behaviors, etc., people, environments are not good for us, even though we know that, oftentimes we are living in a state of almost survival. We are familiar with the pain. We are familiar with the cycle. We are familiar with that space. And so we get comfortable there. Not because we necessarily enjoy it, but just because we know it, just because we can we feel like we have some form of control, right? And I feel as though what you're sacrificing is that control. I feel like you're sacrificing the knowing, because you have this adventure and say yes to change. And certainly this particular Tarotscope for this month has, not yours specifically, but the theme has really challenged my intuition, because you would not think, when we're looking at what are you sacrificing, you have adventure here and change. So what are we sacrificing? Adventure, change? No, right? It's really putting me in a position to actually like really work my intuition. But it does feel to me like what you are sacrificing is that comfort in exchange for change, in exchange for adventure, in exchange for something different. I mean, for goodness sakes, Aquarius, you have change 3 times repeated thus far. And we have 2 more piles and, many more cards to go through. So, I feel like the overall energy of the month is certainly positioning you to make changes in your experience if that's what you want. But again, what you're sacrificing, I feel, is that comfort, is your safe place, and moving in a much different way. Jumping into change, leaving your comfort zone. You have here 4 of Swords. So it's very interesting because thank you. The 4 of Swords can be an energy of like contemplation. And the way that it just came through is analysis paralysis, which is quite interesting. I mean, very, very interesting, certainly, because it's a 4, or excuse me, a Swords energy, which is air, which, is you, of course, or is the element that you fall under. And I feel like this energy is coming through because you may have been someone who has been stuck in a state of analysis paralysis. It's almost as though you may know that you need to be moving forward, but haven't. right? It's like contemplating or, you know, thinking about what needs to be done. If you notice, she looks very safe here. She's in this, what appears to be, you know, like a nest. She's all cozy, these sorts of things. And again, I feel like what you're sacrificing is your comfort zone. What you're sacrificing is the knowing, because that analysis paralysis came in almost immediately, right? You also have Six of Cups in the reverse, which this is a very interesting energy to come through, but I feel so the Six of Cups in the reverse is, yeah, it's about leaving home, right? It is, again, that energy of leaving your comfort zone is coming up again and again and again. And I feel like this is what you're sacrificing. I know I'm going to sound repetitive, but when it comes through this way, when cards are parroting the same messages over and over, or my intuition is bringing the same thing through over and over and over, I feel like, pardon me, it's because that message is really trying to be driven home. It's really trying to be kind of, you know, like, hey, here's what it is. Here's what it is. Here's what it is. Did you need some reassurance? Because here it is. Did you need confirmation? Because here it is. Did you need a signier sign? Because here it is. Right? I feel like it's really one of those things where it's like, you know, it's on repeat because it's something that God, source, universe is really hoping that you can grasp, that you can grab onto, right? So, you know, again, this is like that independence, is that energy of leaving home, moving forward. And I feel as though, again, it's showing up because that's what you're sacrificing, is that comfort zone of doing what you've always done or experiencing what you've always experienced. Right? Again, sometimes we feel safe in the things that aren't good for us just because we know how to move there. I'm actually being reminded of this song by NF called Happy. You may have heard this song, but it essentially is saying, you know, I don't know who I'd be if I was happy. So I'd rather sit in my agony, right? Because I know how to move here. I don't know what happy feels like. I don't know what happy looks like. And so I would rather sit in my agony than try to be happy. It's like choosing your pain, choosing to subject yourself to suffering because you know what that feels like and you're comfortable, right? You have here the Page of Cups as well. This is quite fascinating. I mean, it's all fascinating, certainly, but so I do feel like a part of what you are sacrificing as well is, again, kind of getting out of that mind energy and getting more into the feeling, because you have swords, which does represent the mind, and you have this cups showing up twice, which does represent emotions, feelings, intuition, spirituality. So I do feel as though, again, it's kind of, you know, getting out of that analysis paralysis and moving more into what you feel. Again, sacrifice, I feel like to some degree or another, being vulnerable, being what some may call sensitive, emotional, or intuitive may feel like a sacrifice, because I feel like some of you are kind of detached. You know, yeah, it feels like being like emotionally detached, disconnected from your feelings, disconnected from your soul or your intuition. So, you know, I do feel that being vulnerable, again, it's sacrificing control. When we really come down to the root, sacrificing control. And I feel some of you would find a lot of discomfort in being vulnerable, being intimate, being emotional, being sensitive. This is really fascinating to me. Really, really fascinating. We also have here birthing a new age, birthing new creations, dreaming a new world into being. For some, you know what? It's really bringing me back to that song Happy, because there's this energy. So the Page of Cups can be this kind of dreamer-like energy, right? And I feel as though you have that dreamer energy with the Page of Cups, and now you have dreaming a new world into being. For some of you, I feel like there's a fear of having dreams of wanting better. Or how do I say it? It's a little difficult to translate because it feels as though there's this, it's like I want better, but I don't believe that that's possible for me. It's almost this fear of dreaming, this fear of, you know, the possibility of experiencing something different. And for some, maybe it's because you've been in the cycle for so long that it just feels like it's never going to end. Right? So, I mean, again, I'm going to sound repetitive, but it is what it is. You are sacrificing that control. It's almost that energy of like, well, if I don't believe that there's something better, then I'm not going to be disappointed. Does that make sense? So again, I feel like the energy is positioning you in such a way that you're meant to be stepping outside of your comfort zone and surrendering, releasing control, sacrificing that. And it's, again, positioning you in such a way that you could experience life very differently if you choose. You have the song, yeah, Slow Down, which is very much the energy that I was getting up here, by Maverick Sabre featuring Georgia Smith. I wish I could say I'm sorry, or excuse me, I wish I could say sorry, but I don't have much to say. You wouldn't believe me anyway. I got a thing for causing arguments, but in my defense, I'm scared you'll walk away. Yeah. And what I'm trying to say about me, I don't know me very well if I'm acting like someone else. And what you got to say about us, don't you see that I'm here to stay? You should start trusting me. So with this song coming in, it really blows my mind because there's this energy of, I got a thing for causing arguments, but in my defense, I'm scared you'll walk away. And it is that energy of creating that separation. Again, control, right? If I create an argument, how do I say this? It's almost, it's that feeling of, if I like sabotage whatever's going on, that puts me in control and I can deal with that pain on my own. But if something else, for example, in this case, it's talking about a person, if that walks away from me, or that's out of reach, or that is here and then gone, maybe like a dream, of course, then I don't know how to deal with that pain. But if I have control and I know that it's coming and I know that I'm the one who did it, then I can deal with that. I can move in that. Does that make sense? Because I really feel that there's this energy of, I would rather create or stay in, how do I say this? Like again, control. It boils down to control. I can't say it enough. I'm sure you're probably sick of hearing it now, but that is what it boils down to. Because it's like, I would rather sabotage it myself than you walk away, or something bad happen, or something not happen, or for me to believe in something that never comes through and be heartbroken because I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to deal with that. Right? Again, it's about sacrificing control. Okay, so let's take a look at how you can be of service. Weight of the world, boundaries, let it go. It's not yours to carry. I mean, again, it's very interesting because you have, what are you sacrificing, releasing, letting go? How can you be of service? Let go. Let go. And it's interesting as well that we have this energy of, being very weighted or tethered to the planet, to physicality, to materialism, and you have weight of the world. So I feel like it's speaking to both things, right? How can you be of service? Release yourself from that very materialistic, physical way of thinking, where everything needs a definition, everything needs to be controlled, and not only that, but let go of that need for, let go of that need for control. It's very interesting that it's about having boundaries, because I feel as though, doing so, and boundaries can be, they could show up in a plethora of ways. But boundaries is what helps us to create, or to move more towards that middle ground, right? And it's not just boundaries with other people, but boundaries with ourselves. Laying those boundaries for ourselves, having those morals and values and belief systems that position us in such a way that we are more balanced. We're not far off with no structure and la la land, and we're not so weighted in the physical world that we have no connection with our soul. It is fascinating to me. And the thing that's very interesting about this particular part of the reading is that for every single sign, Pritneer, what's shown up here and how you can be of service is by doing what's best for you, essentially. Following, your heart, your truth, your soul. Because that is how you're going to be able to create a genuine impact on the world. You also have here, child of the cosmos, the intelligence of the universe lies within you. Yeah, so again, reconnecting to your intuition, right? Reconnecting to your soul, understanding that you are a physical embodiment of the cosmos. You are a physical embodiment of the angels. You are a physical embodiment of the earth. You are a physical embodiment of or rather, you are part of the earth, certainly, but you are a physical embodiment of God, of Christ. You house Christ within you, right? You are a physical embodiment of the cosmos, and you do have that intelligence within you. You carry that inside you. Again, like I said, you would not come face to face with anything that you were not prepared for, that you could not handle. It's just a matter of choosing, because you are a child of the cosmos, a child of God. Right? So how can you be of service? Recognize this. Allow yourself to sink deeply into this knowingness. Connect with that. Allow it to move you, guide you, lead you. Trust it. Surrender to it. Much easier said than done, certainly. Right? We're not going to pretend that it's going to be a walk in the park, all rainbows and butterflies. But this is how you can be of service, is by recognizing and remembering who you are underneath all of the things that have put you in a position where you feel like you need to control things. You have here as well empathic starseed, energetic sovereignty, absorbing what's not yours. So it's really quite fascinating, because you have this energy of boundaries along with energetic sovereignty. I feel called to read this to you. Yeah. The energetic sovereign, I'll get that book out in a second, because I feel like the energetic sovereignty is really speaking to when you are more deeply connected, let's say, or tethered to the physical world, when you are in those, or let me back up a bit and slow down. When you are guided by your lower impulses, okay, the more physical things, right? Addiction. When you are guided by those lower impulses, that need for security, that need for safety, right? That need for control, you position yourself, and Rudolf Steiner has talked about this, has lectured about this. Gigi Young has talked about this on her channel. When you are in that position, you open yourself up and position yourself in such a way that lower vibrational entities can attach to you and use you as like a battery. Okay? Now, I'm not saying this to freak you out and scare you. I'm saying this because it is quite possible, that the reason that boundaries and energetic sovereignty is coming up is to encourage you to rise. Because the higher your vibrational frequency is, the less that those lower entities, energies, can see you. You either become invisible to them, or you scare the ever living, out of them. You terrify them. It's almost like you become too bright for them to see. Okay, and you shine light on all the dark places, and that can be terrifying for those lower entities and energies that have refused to face their darkness. So, again, please take this how it resonates, but I felt very called to bring that to your attention. The more you engage in those lower impulses, the more you open yourself up to those lower beings. And they do exist. Avoiding them isn't going to make it any less true. Denying it isn't going to make it any less true. Pretending that you don't see it is not going to make it any less true. Okay? And I feel like this is part of why that boundaries and energetic sovereignty is showing up. How can you be of service? Free yourself. Create boundaries. Raise yourself up. Again, take it only if it resonates. Okay, so let me just find this in the guidebook here so I can share with you what we have. Again, this is how you can be of service. So it says, which certain wording, I don't know that I necessarily agree with, but I'm going to read this to you anyhow. Actually, I have a way I can do this. So empaths are here to shift the world through their physical presence alone. They don't need to do anything beyond being here, thanks to the energetic change their physical presence causes. Due to their highly sensitive nature, empaths can struggle with being on Earth and in a physical body. Many are prone to addiction and depression, or tend to mistake other people's feelings and moods for their own. Natural introverts, they tend to prefer spending time alone or in small groups, as crowds can be overwhelming for them. If this card appears, consider lightening the load energetically. Don't put yourself under such pressure to go out into the world. Be gentle with yourself. Allow extra time and care to recover energetically. If you're feeling pressured to keep up a certain pace, instead, put on the brakes and treat yourself like a precious baby. Do whatever you can to take the pressures of the world off your plate. Switch off to switch back on. In today's world, it's normal to feel that we should be doing more, but perhaps being present in our life is enough. This could be a phase you're going through, or simply how you're being called to live your life. If your work involves giving to others, right now you're being called to keep something for yourself. You don't need to transmute it all. It's okay to look after your own growth and healing before feeling you should offer it to the world. Indeed, it's necessary if you want to continue to do so sustainably. And it says here, how can you take better care of yourself energetically? Right? So again, as I shared, when we were coming into this section of the reading, this has been, vast or in majority about really taking care of ourselves, connecting with ourselves, getting in alignment with our truth, with our soul, with our heart. And that is how we can be of service. And as was just shared from the guidebook there, it's about just being, right? Being who you are at a soul level. But I feel, again, this is about you reconnecting to that, because I feel like some of you, it's a bit clouded and disconnected. We do have here the Six of Swords in the reverse, which is an energy of moving forward. Well, no, let me back up. It's an energy of, in the upright, of moving on, of transitioning. But in the reverse, it is an energy of unresolved issues, resisting transition and carrying emotional baggage. So what's really fascinating, again, is you have weight of the world, right? I'm getting fear coming up. You have weight of the world. It's not yours to carry. And this energy of baggage, okay? Of unresolved issues, of resisting transition. So how can you be of service? Deal with those issues. Put the baggage down. Okay? The thing of it is that in some situations and scenarios, we can, kind of cut the cord. But in other situations, it requires us facing whatever it is. And I have this saying, which I've repeated many times throughout these Tarotscopes as well. But in order to heal it, whatever it may be for you, you have to deal with it and feel it. The only way out is through. There are no exceptions. Okay? So again, I feel like, how can you be of service? Addressing these things, addressing the baggage, addressing where or why you are resisting transition, where you're resisting transformation, where you're resisting change and movement, dealing with the unresolved things. Okay? I do find it interesting as well that a lot of your cards have what appear to be water or, or our cups energies. And I feel like that is because there's that need to connect deeply to yourself, to dive in, which even here you have this jump in energy, which if you can see, there's like water splashing around her feet. Okay. So and it looks like an eye. So diving into yourself. We also have for you Pleiades, double mission, channeling and uplifting humanity. This is I'm a little bit perplexed because that's not, how do I say? We all kind of carry this double mission, okay? Where we are meant to be growing and evolving individually and doing things that we need to do for us. But we're also, have things that we're meant to be doing within the collective, right? So doing both our own internal and individual soul work, but also contributing to the growth and evolution of the collective as a whole. So, okay, thank you. Thank you. I feel like one of the messages here for you, Aquarius, is that you can be of service by doing your own work. It's very interesting because it's almost this domino effect is how I'm seeing this, right? So when you do the work that you need to do individually, it's going to impact the collective as a whole. I do want to read this card to you, or the guidebook to you as well for this card. But that's really kind of how I'm picking this up. It's almost like two birds, one stone type of thing. When you raise your vibrational frequency, okay, you contribute to the raising of the collective or the planet vibrational frequency as well. Okay, where is this? 118. Okay, so again, this is how can you be of service? Let's see, there we go. The Pleiadians are a group of star beings dedicated to raising the vibration of the planet and sharing new consciousness through creations and technology. They have been incarnating on Earth since near the beginning of humanity. You are a soul who has a double mission: to grow at a soul level and to raise the vibration of the planet. If you have been called to write, speak, or channel, this is your sign to keep doing it. Your work is divinely guided. Of all the souls, the Pleiadians are the chattiest, and so perhaps you have already started channeling some of this work into the third dimension. Thank you for doing your part in the great plan. Your presence and unique light is needed. So here's what I find incredibly fascinating, Aquarius. First of all, your sign is connected to technology. So I think that's quite interesting. I also find it fascinating that you are a more humanistic or humanitarian and reformative kind of energy, right? Inventive as well. So I do feel that a big part of this message is very much like what I was saying earlier. You can be of service by being who you are, right? You also have, I swear, this song has come up in almost every single reading, every single Tarotscope for this month, Pritneer. You have Murder to the Mind by Tosh Sultana. And in an interview, she shared that this song was very much about, severing that tie from your ego. Now, based on what I've learned and know, we need our ego, okay? It's what helps us to develop our I, our individuality, okay? Capital I. So it's a very necessary part of our evolution. But I do feel that, freeing ourselves from those lower egoic drives or those lower impulses is certainly something that we all should be working toward. But it says here, I was thinking about how to do this, trying to find myself. I emerge from my foggiest. 6 months sober. I don't know where the time has gone. For some of you, I do feel like this could be speaking about certain addictions. Okay? I just want to be clear. And freeing yourself from those, being of service by, finding your way out of that. Now, I know that is much easier said than done. And I'm certainly not passing any judgment. We all have our own addictions and things that maybe we wish we could move forward from, okay? Whether it be a thought pattern, a behavioral pattern, substances, right? Whatever it is. We all have our little things that we're meant to be working through. So again, no judgment. What I find that I need to be bringing forward, or what I'm feeling called to bring forward about this card, and I think this has come through in other readings as well, is you have this, I was thinking about. So there's this energy of thinking, right? Repeated 3 times. And I feel as though this is coming through because there's that energy of needing to get out of that analysis paralysis, needing to get out of that contemplative phase and to just move forward. Again, I know that is so much easier said than done, but I do feel like it's not about thinking about it. It's about actively taking part in it. It is about actively seeking yourself. Okay? And, one of the ways that we can reconnect to our truth is to recognize and be aware of those lower impulses and when we are feeding into them. Gosh, these Tarotscopes have been absolutely fascinating. All right, so let's take a look at the advice that will best support and serve you, Aquarius, moving forward. You really, I swear, this job never ceases to amaze me. I get my mind blown like every single day. You have loosen your grip, coping mechanisms, density, addiction, let God in. And so again, this is one of those, I said what I said. This is your confirmation. This is your signier sign. The advice that's going to best support and serve you is to reconnect with that spiritual aspect of yourself, with the soul side of yourself, with the Christ impulse within you, with God. Right? Loosening your grip. Especially when it comes to, here, look, you have density, right? Or physicality, materialism, heavier, weight, okay? Loosening your grip from those. You also have addiction, coping mechanisms, which has shown up several times here, okay? So, and again, I'm not judging. If this is your story, okay, it's your story, right? But I feel as though, again, the advice is reconnect with that spiritual side of yourself, with your feelings, with your emotions, with your intuition. Let God in. Whew. You have here as well, we the Hathors, deep love, mother's milk, birth as a portal. So okay. I do feel called to read the guidebook on this card for you, but I first want to start out by saying that I feel like part of the advice here for you is to recognize that the ending of one cycle, the closing of one door, the release of control and surrender and moving forward, leaving something behind is a doorway to something else. Right? It's one of those energies of like, if you have your hands full and somebody tries to give you something, you can't take it because you have no space to hold it. So it's putting things down so that you can grab what is meant for you. Okay? There's also fear here. Okay, so for some of you, I feel like there's a fear of that, the deep love that God brings. I don't know, that may be for somebody very, very specific, but it does feel like there's this fear of being unworthy, or maybe you don't believe in God. I don't know. But there's this energy of this deep love that's available to you that maybe you feel you can't. It's almost this energy of like, I can't do that. I can't do that. It's too much for me. It's too big for me. It's too feely for me. It's too immense for me. It's right. Again, take it as it resonates, okay? But I feel like some of you may have that fear. Let's see. All right. So again, this is the advice that's going to best support and serve you moving forward. Sorry that was so... I don't know why my camera's struggling to focus here. Birth is a portal that ushers in new life. The Hathors are here to remind you that you're a child of the cosmic mother, and you're being called to be held by her deep, never-ending love and embrace. This is a tender, nourishing card, reminding you to receive the deep, deep love of the mother's embrace. The Hathors know that the journey on Earth can be rocky and lonely at times, but you're being reminded to rest more deeply in the mother's arms. This is a card of extreme potency, of femininity, of creation, and of birth. You're being called to mother yourself and others too, to surrender to your sacred femininity, to create and surrender to your own creations, to hold and be held. You're being called to remember your place in the web of life, and to realize that the cosmic mother is watching you every step of the way. You may be going through a transition right now, moving from one way of being to another. If so, you're being reminded that you're cradled in a sacred container, that you're more held than you can possibly imagine, and you have access to more love than your heart can bear. If you're struggling in any way, you're being reassured that things will work out. Open yourself to receiving the overflowing love of the cosmic mother, flooding towards you from every direction. Let it stretch your heart. Yeah, it's very interesting that you have that energy showing up twice of letting that love in, right? Like I said, the deep love of God, or, maybe you resonate more with this mother energy or feminine energy. You also have here perspective. None of this matters. Zoom out, common ground. And I do feel like, again, the advice here is for you to, how do I say? First of all, I feel like it's for you to pivot or change your perspective on life, on your existence, on many, many things. However, I also feel that this is encouraging you to see things from a bigger picture. Yeah. I actually feel like I'm going to find this as well and read it to you. I feel like the bigger message is to see things from a bigger picture, but there may be something in here for someone specific. So take a step back and look at the bigger picture of your life. Step away from the blinkered vision and reactive frame of mind of me against them. Change your perspective. Shift your point of view and zoom out, out, out. We are but a speck of dust in the universe, yet we think everything revolves around us. We see the planet as our own and conquer, pillaging the land and setting ourselves up for eventual extinction. We build fences and walls and create invisible borders. Mother Earth doesn't need us to survive, but we need her. It's time to wake up. A new perspective is urgently needed. Okay, so I just looked up and we are at an hour, 11 minutes, and 1 second, so 11:11. Certainly the number of awakenings and epiphanies, new beginnings, potential, opportunity. We become so lost in our individual experience that we don't realize that most of the things that keep us awake at night are actually distractions. We're wasting our precious time and resources fighting each other when we should be coming together to heal what's been severed. This moment is a breath in the timeline of your life. This life is a fleeting moment in the tapestry of your soul's experience. Your soul's experience is a flash in the timeline of the known universe, and the known universe is a grain of sand in the unknown universe. Take a moment to see the bigger picture, to find common ground, to find deep compassion in your heart, to gain a greater perspective of humanity in this fleeting moment in the timeline of your soul's existence, in the timeline of all that is, was, and ever will be. How are you being called to change your perspective? So, it's very interesting because I do feel that there's that energy of, we have a lot of this energy of control. And with what we've just read there, with that me against them, where it's like, I need to control all the things so that I'm protecting myself. And I feel like this is maybe why this has shown up and why I felt called to read that to you. Okay? Because also, there was that line that was speaking about fences and walls and borders and, this and that. And I feel like this is something that you have probably become very good at. Right? Creating these walls and fences and borders between you and many, many others, or the world at large. You do have here the Queen of Pentacles, and I'm just going to say, sweets, this is another repetitive message about getting uncomfortable, because the Queen of Pentacles is super, super comfortable exactly where she's at. Look at her. She don't have a care in the world. Okay? She's super comfortable. She knows how everything moves. She knows how everything works, and she's very secure, very comfortable. Okay? Again, get out of your comfort zone and get out of your own mind. Because the Queen of Pentacles can also be a bit self-centered, right? Like it was speaking of here, me versus them. So I feel like there's two messages coming through here. And of course, take what resonates, if it does. Get out of your comfort zone. The need for security, practicality, and get out of the kind of me mentality. Okay? Me versus them, more specifically. Wow. So I just feel like I need to point out to you, this is another kind of nod to what I shared earlier about, wanting to build that kind of status and security and material stuff, to have the things, right? Because the Queen of Pentacles in the upright, of course, is an energy of like creature comforts. But again, security, okay? So again, I feel like this is something where it's like, turn your focus to some to outside of that. Okay. You have here the Age of Light. You've been training for this for lifetimes. Again, the advice is, you know what to do. You're prepared. You have been prepared. Again, you would not face anything you were not prepared for. You could not handle. You didn't have the tools for. So there's this energy that's coming through to, encourage you to take advantage of what it is you hold within. But the only way, Aquarius, that you're going to be able to do that is if you connect with it within yourself. You don't have to, it's not something that you can tangibly hold with your hands, but that doesn't make it any less valuable. Right? You have here as well, Priestess. How are you being called to step up and lead? And I really feel like this, I'm just going to be honest, I feel like this card is coming through because it's this taking back control over your own life, or leading your own life, because I feel that if this reading has resonated with you, that your life has been led by other things. Okay, I don't feel like it's been led from your soul's truth, from your heart. Okay, I feel like it's been led by maybe trauma, pain, wounding, right? It's been led by the need to control, the desire to know, right? So it feels as though this is one of those energies that says, how are you being called to step up and lead? Well, I feel as though you're being called to step up and be the leader of your own life, to lead your own way. Maybe outside things have been leading you. Again, maybe that desire for, those creature comforts, that stability, that security, that those material things have led the way. Maybe your desire for definition has led the way, for things to be defined and explained and understood. Whatever it is for you, I just feel like the advice here is for you to take the lead, for you to get in the driver's seat, for you to take the reins, to not be led by something else. And I'm being brought back to a Gigi Young lecture I listened to, where she talked about how essentially, if you're disconnected from your soul self, you believe you don't have a soul, you're not you're not paying attention to it, you're ignoring it, whatever the story is, you essentially get out of that seat. Okay? You essentially kind of step out of the driver's seat. But the problem with that is that you leave it just open. And I think she used an example, something like, if you have a chair open in your living room and a guest comes in, they're going to sit in that seat, type of thing. And I feel like this is about you sitting in that seat. Okay? Again, take it as it resonates. It's your story. You know what's true for you. But I feel like that's the advice, is to step up and take the lead in your life. You have here Higher Love by Charming Horses featuring Grace Grundy. Think about it. There must be higher love down in my heart, hidden in the stars above. Without it, life is wasted time. Look inside your heart. I'll look inside mine. So again, the advice here is for you to reconnect with that higher love, that deeper love. Love of God, that love that comes, that only God can give. Okay, or the mother can give, as we read here with the Hathors. And as someone who has loved very deeply and been loved very deeply, I can confidently say that there is nothing like the love that you feel when you are connecting with God, with Christ. Nothing. There's nothing like it. As a mother, I can tell you, there's nothing like it. And I love my children very, very deeply. Okay? So again, I feel like the advice for you is to look for that, right? Let that in. Open your heart to it. Finally, you have Beautiful Scars by Maximilian. I'm not going to fight back what I've become. Yeah, I have bruises where I came from, but I wouldn't change if I could restart. I ain't going to hide these beautiful scars. I've been going way too hard on myself. Guess that's the reason, or excuse me, guess that it's the reason that I'm feeling like hell. But I wouldn't change if I could restart. I ain't gonna hide these beautiful scars. Okay, so I feel like I feel like this is coming through to let you know, Aquarius, that it's not about going back and erasing the past. It's not about being ashamed of the past. It's not about feeling guilty. You know, the things that you have experienced in your life have brought you to this precipice, this moment where you can take all of the things that you've experienced, good, bad, ugly, everything in between, horrific, whatever it looks like. You can take those and recognize how they have taught you something. Okay? How they have positioned you in such a way that you've arrived at this particular moment where the ball is in your court. You can make the decisions that are going to best serve you, right? You can move differently. The choice is and always will be yours. God, Christ, the spiritual hierarchies, the angelic hierarchies are never, ever, ever going to force you to do anything, even if it's good for you. They're never going to force their will upon you. That's not how they work. The choice is yours. And you can see, because now you know what you know, right? Forgive yourself for what you didn't know when you didn't know it. Take what you now know and see the things that you've experienced as lessons and things that have taught you things about yourself, the world, others, and move forward. Right? It has all been to position you in a way that you are in alignment or could be in alignment with your highest good. But you've got to be willing to see it from that perspective. If you see it as, I'm the victim, if you see it as, I have to protect myself, I have to be afraid, you are just carrying that weight with you. Always. Always, always, always. So, you can choose to see the things you've experienced as stepping stones, right? And again, I want to be very clear. I'm not trying to be insensitive or minimize any of your experiences. We've all had experiences that we wish we hadn't. Okay? So, that is what I have for you, Aquarius, for the month of November. I truly hope and pray that you are able to let love in, that you allow yourself to release control and take steps to getting back to your soul self, to exploring who you truly are underneath all the things, that you're able to step out of your comfort zone and to let love in deeply, and that you are able to create movement, change, and transformation and healing in your experience in ways that are best for you. If something here has resonated with you or been valuable, helpful, or provided insight in any way, shape, or form, please do the YouTube things by liking, sharing, commenting below, or subscribing. I'm very, very grateful for all of your likes, shares, comments, and things. It really, truly does help the channel to grow and tells YouTube that there may be something valuable or insightful here for someone else. So I'm so very grateful for that. It also helps me as a reader. And again, I appreciate it so, so very much. So thank you for doing any of those things. Take care of your evolving, transforming, healing soul. Peace be with you and within you. I'm sending you so, so much love, and I hope to see you on the next video. Bye.